හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday, the 10th of February 2024. Assurance. Hopeful that the government will conclude debt restructuring talks and ink official agreements with creditors by June, says the president. Slammed. Minister of Power and Energy slams the Verity Research report on Sri Lanka's electricity costs as misleading. Meeting demand. The government in talks with India's AdaDerana Group on managing 3 airports in Sri Lanka, reveals the Minister of Tourism.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm Aditya Dirsingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says he's hopeful that the government will be able to conclude debt restructuring talks by June and ink official agreements with all creditors, both bilateral and private. Speaking to WION during his visit to Australia to address the 7th Indian Ocean Conference, the head of state highlighted the need to solve the tensions in the Red Sea, adding that a tension-free Red Sea and Suez Canal are important for the development of the Colombo port. Speaking further, President Wickremesinghe revealed that the Madras IIT University in Chennai will be establishing a branch in Kandy either next year or the year after.
How have things improved in past 1 year?
Well, we've gone ahead with the debt restructuring. We have completed it. It's now the official part. We have to have an agreement with the OCC. In principle, they've agreed to what we have done. The formal part is now taking place. And after the formal agreement with the official creditors committee, we'll have to then come to formal agreements with all the countries, creditor countries, plus the other financial organizations which have also been involved in Sri Lanka's debt negotiation.
And when do you think it will be possible, sir? Any deadline?
I think by about June all should be over.
What do you expect from India in terms of your development goals? Anything specific?
Well, India has helped us financially, but we'd like to see, especially we'd like to see Indian investments in Sri Lanka. And a new phase has been the decision that Chennai IIT will establish a campus in Sri Lanka, most probably in Kandy.
And when this establishment is expected to take
Well, a
place
ministerial delegation visited India, and now we are in the process of identifying the locations. But we'd like to take some existing buildings and start that off soon, next year or year after.
Sri Lanka is an important country in the Indian Ocean. You have a vast exclusive economic zone as well. How can Sri Lanka play an important role in the stability of the wider region?
We've always been pushing freedom of navigation in the Indian Ocean, that it should be free of big power rivalry and closer cooperation between the countries. Now that Sri Lanka is chairman, that's what we've been asking for.
What's your view about the situation in the Red Sea, because it impacts the economic security of many countries, including Sri Lanka?
Red Sea is vital to us. Suez Canal is vital to us. Colombo port will develop only if Suez Canal is available. In the 1967 war, some other ships were sunk in the Suez Canal, and it took us 10 years, and the Colombo port was not operative.
Elections happening this year?
Yes, both presidential and parliament.
And how optimistic you are that hopefully you will be back?
For me to be back, I must contest.
Do you plan to, sir? I mean, what's your plan like?
I have come here to put the economy into order. My first duty is to focus on that we get out of bankruptcy.
Do you think you have done a good job?
Well, I am quite satisfied. I feel we will be able to do this.
Implementation of the 13th Amendments, what's the way forward, sir?
We'll hold the provincial council election next year. As I announced in my speech when I opened parliament, we want to give each province its own economy. So like in India, the economies will compete with each other, which is to our benefit, all to be very, very competitive economies. And those provinces should handle their economic and social development within the national policy framework. In this respect, we said we are prepared to give the concurrent powers, most of it, or whatever is required, whatever they want, to the provincial councils. So that we are moving on. There has been a request by some of the groups for minority groups from our Senate. As far as we are concerned, we will not oppose it, but it's a matter for all parties to agree to not merely the government, and there are so many parties in parliament at the moment.
Now bringing to you more news on the President. President Ranil Wickremesinghe currently on an official visit to Australia to attend the 7th edition of the Indian Ocean Conference, held discussions with the Indian Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar. Discussions between the two centered on progress made on bilateral projects and measures to be taken to further bolster bilateral cooperation. In the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe also visited the Sri Lankan consulate in Western Australia.
On the sidelines of the 7th edition of the Indian Ocean Conference hosted in Perth, Australia, President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with the Indian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, last evening. The President's office revealed that the discussions centered on the progress of bilateral projects currently underway. Taking to the social media platform X, the Indian Foreign Minister stated that the duo recognized the progress in bilateral cooperation and resolved to continue deepening them. In the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe paid a visit to the Sri Lankan consulate in Western Australia today. President Wickremesinghe was welcomed by the Honorary Consul for Sri Lanka in Western Australia, Dr. Rosh Jalagge. The President's office reported that the visit provided an opportunity to discuss shared interests between the consulate and the Sri Lankan community in Western Australia, with a particular focus on advancing economic development initiatives in Sri Lanka. To mark his visit to the Sri Lankan consulate in Western Australia, President Wickremesinghe was presented with a memento by Consul Jalagge. President Wickremesinghe was accompanied by Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff Sagar Ratnayaka during the visit.
Now, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara slammed the study published by Verity Research, showcasing that Sri Lanka's electricity tariffs are the highest in South Asia, as misleading the general public. Addressing a media briefing today, the Power and Energy Minister said he suspects whether these studies were conducted to fulfill the needs of a certain political faction as elections draw closer.
Recently, a study themed electricity bills in Sri Lanka, highest in South Asia, was published by the Sri Lankan think tank Verity Research on publicfinance.lk. According to the study, Sri Lanka was highlighted to have the highest electricity tariffs in South Asia, with households paying 2.5 to 3 times more for electricity than the average price paid by households in other South Asian countries. However, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara, who slammed the studies, said the data gathered for this research is misleading the general public.
අපි පිළිගන්නවා අපේ රටේ විදුලි බිල වැඩි කියන එක. නමුත් ඒ වාර්තාවට උනත් පාදක කරගෙන තිබුණේ තොරතුරු ඉතාමත්ම ජනතාව නොමග යවන සුළු ආකාරයට. ඒ පරීක්ෂණ කරපු ආයතනයේ තෝරගත්තේ ඒකක 100ට වැඩිය, ඒකක 300ට වැඩිය, ඒකක 500ට වැඩිය භාවිතා කරන පුද්ගලයෝ විතරයි කියලා. අහන්න කැමතියි පරීක්ෂණ කරන ආයතනයේනොත් අපේ රටේ ඒකක 100ට වැඩිය භාවිතා කරන පාරිභෝගිකයන් කී දෙනාද ඉන්නේ? ඒකක 90ට වැඩිය අපේ රටේ ගෘහස්ත කාණ්ඩේ භාවිතා කරන පිරිස ලක්ෂ 5කට අඩුයි. අපේ ලක්ෂ 55ක් ඉන්නේ. ඒකක 90ට අඩුවෙන් භාවිතා කරන පිරිස. එතකොට මේ පරීක්ෂණ කරන්නේ එක පැත්තකින් මේ මැතිවරණයක් තියෙන අවස්ථාවක යම්කිසි කණ්ඩායමක අවශ්‍යතාවයටද කියන එකත් සැකසහිතයි. අපේ රටේ අඩුවෙන් භාවිතා කරන පිරිසට වැඩි සහනයක් ලබා දෙන්න. 90න් උඩ පාවිච්චි කරන පිරිසට තමයි වැඩි බරක් යොදලා තියෙන්නේ මේ කැතුලේ. අවුරුදු 9ක් තිස්සේ දකුණු ආසියාව විතර නෙමේ ලෝකෙම කොහෙවත් රටක් තිබුණ නැහැ විදුලි බිල එක අවුරුද්දක්වත් වෙනස් නොවෙච්ච. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මම දැක්ක විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා මෙන්න මේක වැඩි මෙන්න මේක අඩු කරන්න. එතුමාට අපි ආරාධනා කරා දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ විපක්ෂයේ සියලු മന്ത്രിවරුන්ට මේ විදුලි බිල අඩු කිරීම සඳහා යෝජනා දෙන්න කියලා. මම කනගාටුවෙන් කියනවා අද වෙනකන් එහෙම යෝජනාවක් විපක්ෂයේ එක മന്ത്രിවරයෙක් දීලා නැහැ.
ඔබතුමාම සඳහන් කරා ජනවාරි මාසයේදී විදුලි ගාස්තු සංශෝධනයක් සිදු කරනවා අඩු කිරීමක් කරනවා කියලා. අපිට තියෙන යෝජනාව දෙන එක. ඒ යෝජනා දුන්නාට පස්සේ මහජන උපයෝගිතා කොමිසම තමයි තීන්දුව කරන්නේ කවද්ද දෙන්නේ කියන එක. අපි අඩුවීමක් යෝජනා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ අඩුවීම මහජන උපයෝගිතා කොමිසම සැලකිලිට අරගෙන තොරතුරු දුන්නාට පස්සේ තමයි මට ඒකට පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. අපේ විදුලි බිල අඩු කිරීමට අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රධානම කාරණාව තමයි මේ වැඩි වියදම් තියෙන බලාගාර ඉවත් කරලා ඒ වෙනුවට පුනර්ජනීය බලාගාර හෝ ස්වභාවික ගෑස් මගින් භාවිතා කරන බලාගාර අපේ රට තුල ඉදිකිරීම වේගවත් කිරීමත් ඒක අපේ ජනන පද්ධතියට එකතු කිරීම වේගවත් කිරීමත් දේශපාලන වශයෙන් සමහර කණ්ඩායම් විවිධ ව්‍යාපෘතියනකට විරෝධයන් පළ කරලා එක්කෝ ඒ ව්‍යාපෘති නවත්තලා තියෙනවා එක්කෝ ඒ ව්‍යාපෘති ලබා ගැනීම අඩාල කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා
මේව වෙනස් වෙන්න ඕන අපේ විදුලි බිල අඩු වීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරන්න.
Now, Acting Inspector General of the Police, Deshabandhu Tennakon, highlighted that within the next 9 months, the spread of narcotics island-wide will be curbed. In the meantime, Minister of Public Security Derana English emphasized that the online safety bill was passed against a backdrop where many use social media and the online space to defame influential figures and topple governments. He went on to say that the recently passed online safety bill will only be an issue for those who abuse and exploit social media.
An awareness program for the Community Police Committee in the Panadura Division was held under the patronage of Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon and Minister of Public Security Derana English this morning.
මද්‍රව්‍යවල සුලභතාවය ඉතාම පහළ මට්ටමකට ගේන්න පුළුවන් ඊළඟ මාස කිහිපය තුළදී. කුඩු සලිදු අවුරුදු 3ක් ඇතුලේ මිලියන 5013ක් මැඩගස්කරේ තිනවලු අක්කර 2.5ක් ලංකාව පුරාම ඉඩම් තියෙනවා. වාහන 73ක් තියෙනවා. වෙනායක නම් වලට එලයිස් ඔක්කොම අරන් තියන්නේ අවුරුදු කීයකින් හරි එළියට එන දවසක මහා පාරේ හිඟා ගන්න වෙයි සලිඳුට සියලුම දේවල් රාජසන්ත කරනවා කුඩු සල්ලි වලින් හම්බ කරනවා. ඊයේ ගත්ත CID එකෙන් අත්අඩංගුවට පුද්ගලයෙක් 4 ලක්ෂ ගාණක් ඒ පුද්ගලයා අතේ තිබුණා. මේ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලය පාවිච්චි කරගෙන අපිට මඩ ගහන පුද්ගලයෙක් උත්තරයක් දෙනවා. ඒ පුද්ගලයාට දේශපාලඥයෙක් තමයි මේ සල්ලි දුන්නේ. ඒ කාර් එකේ කොටුවට ගිහිල්ලා ඩොලර් ටික මාරු කරගෙන සල්ලි ටික අතේ තියෙනකොට තමයි අත්අඩංගුවටපත් වෙන්නේ. අපිටද රජයටද පොලිස්පතිතුමාට ඔය කොටම මඩ ගහන්න සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලය පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ඒකින්ද තමයි අපි මේ ඔන්ලයින් සේෆ්ටි බිල් එක ගෙනාවේ. ආණ්ඩු පෙරලන්න උනත් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ මේ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලය. මම අද කියන්නේ මේ පනත ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලය වැරදි විදියට හසුරුවන අයට පමණයි.
Now, the Sri Lankan police arrested 663 suspects as part of the Yuktiya special operation launched last year to curb the island-wide distribution of narcotics. Among the arrestees are 547 suspects who were taken into custody on narcotics-related charges and 116 others who were on the list of wanted criminal suspects. With that, let's take a look into other local news in brief.
A 5-year-old child who sustained injuries after a tree collapsed on a group of children at an international school in Gampula succumbed to his injuries today. When the incident occurred recently, another 5-year-old lost his life while 3 other children were admitted for treatment. The child who lost his life today was among the 3 admitted to hospital yesterday. In the meantime, an employee of a private cleaning service at the Bandaranaike International Airport was arrested for possession of jewellery and gold clay worth 58 million rupees prepared to be smuggled out of the airport. Following interrogations conducted by customs officials, the employee in question has revealed that an individual handed over a parcel containing the jewellery to her inside a restroom near the duty-free shopping complex at the airport. It was also stated that the individual had instructed the employee to hand it over to a separate individual outside the airport, promising a payment of 60,000 rupees. In other news, a private warehouse in Palanwatta Pannipitiya was engulfed by flames this morning. The unfortunate incident led to the complete destruction of the warehouse with property worth millions destroyed in the fire.
Welcome back. Now in more local news, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says results-driven leadership is crucial in order to find solutions to the crises faced by Sri Lanka. In the meantime, Chairman of the United National Party Wajira Abeyewardena highlighted that all parties must unite in order to find solutions for the issues faced by the country, adding that there is no alternative path from this. With that, let's take a look at some views presented in the local political arena today.
Ada ආණ්ඩු අයාල යනවා ජනාධිපති පිටරට යනවා ජනාධිපති තමන්ගේ න්‍යාය පත්‍රයට අනුව කටයුතු කරනවා මේ රටේ මේ මහා බරපතල ගැටලුවට විසඳුම් ලබා දෙන්නට නම් ප්‍රතිඵල ලබා දෙන නායකත්වයක් අවශ්‍යයි රටට මුදල් සොයා ගන්න නායකත්වයක් අවශ්‍යයි ඒව නැතුව කොච්චර කයිවාරු ගැහුවත් කොච්චර සෙනග පෙන්නුවත් කිසිම පළක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Meanwhile, SLPP parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa, who is currently on a visit to India, paid homage to the recently consecrated Hindu temple Ram Mandir in Ayodhya.
Honor for me to be, and also Honorable Prime Minister Modi has been strengthening bilateral relationship between Sri Lanka and India, not only through political angle but also through cultural and religion. In fact, when Honorable Prime Minister visited Sri Lanka, he made sure that he visits Anuradhapura and get blessings from Sri Mambodhiya and Ruwan Velisaya. So it it's a great thing for me to be here today.
පසුගිය කාලවල ඔබතුමාලා ඉන්දියාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් විවේචන ඉදිරිපත් කරන විශාල වශයෙන් ආයෝජන සම්බන්ධයෙන්
අපිට රටකට යාම රටක රාජ්‍ය නායකයන් මුණ ගැසීම අපේ දේශපාලන ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්ති වෙනස් කර ගැනීමට හේතුවක් නෙවෙයි. අපි හදාගන්නා න්‍යාය පත්‍රයකට අපේ රටේ ජාතික සැලැස්මට අනුරූපී වන පරිදි ඒ වගේ සහාය ලබා ගත හැකි කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
තුමාලගේ මේ සංචාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් චෝදනා එල්ල වෙනවා.
ඉන්දියාවට ගිය පළවෙනි දේශපාලන කණ්ඩායම අපිද? ඔව්.
තුමා පළවෙනි වතාවට මම දැක්කේ යුරෝපීය ඇඳුම ඇඳලා ඉන්දියාවට සහභාගී වුණේ. ඒ ඇත්තට මේ සාකච්ඡාවට මේ වසන්ත සමරසිංහයි නාමල් කරුණාරත්නයි මාවේ හිලතියේ සමන්තයි තුන්දෙනාත් එක්කන් ගියා නම් තමයි හොඳ වෙන්නේ.
වෙන් වශයෙන් මේ ප්‍රශ්න එකක්වත් විසඳ ගන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් සියලු දෙනා එක් විය යුතුයි. මේ යන පාර හැර වෙන පාරක් නැහැ. වෙන පාරක කවුරු අරන් යනවා නම් රට ඒ වෙන පාරක අරන් යන පිරිස නැවත රට ආර්ථික වශයෙන් බිම දැම්මොත් ඒකේ වක්කීම බාරගත යුතු තිබෙනවා.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා අනිවාර්යෙන් පවත්වන්න ඕන. ඒ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අනුකුමාර සානායක මෙරටේ ජනාධිපති බවට පත් වෙනවා. මාලිමාව ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා. ජනාධිපතිතුමා කියලා මාස දෙකක් යනකොට අපේ රටට අලුත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් ගේනවා. මාලිමාවේ ආණ්ඩුවක් සහිත පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක්.
දැන් ඡන්දේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියෙනවමයි. තව මාස 7යි. මාස 7න් රට සුඛිත මුදිත වෙනවා. රට මාර වෙනසකට යනවා කියලා කියන අය නිකන්වත් හිතනවද? යකෝ මූ පළාත් පාලන ඡන්දෙත් තිබ්බේ නැලි සල්ලි නැහැ කියලා ඒ වගේ නැවත ඒ වගේ ගන්න නොකරයිද? ඒව ගැන කතා නැහැ. මොකද ඒව ගැන සැක පහල කරොත් රැල්ල බහිනවා. අනිවාර්යෙන් ඡන්දේ තියෙනවා. එහෙම කොහෙද? එහෙම කරොත් බලාගමු. ඉතින් බලාගත්තේ නැහනේ. පළාත් පාලන ඡන්දේ තිබ්බේ නැහැ බලාගත්තේ නැහනේ. ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ දේශපාලන අවස්ථාවාදී කියලා.
Now in your business news, taking the global demand for Sri Lanka tourism and its targets into account, Minister of Tourism, Lands, Youth Affairs and Sports Harin Fernandes says the government is negotiating with the Adani Group on managing 3 airports in Sri Lanka. The airports tipped to be managed by Adani are the Bandaranaike International Airport, the Ratmalana Airport and the Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport.
Speaking to Business Line of the Hindu during his visit to participate in the OTM travel show in Mumbai, Minister of Tourism, Lands, Youth Affairs and Sports Harin Fernandes revealed the Adani Group is negotiating with Sri Lankan authorities to manage 3 airports in the island nation, including the Bandaranaike International Airport in Kattanayake. Fernandes said the modalities are being discussed between the two sides and could involve management contracts as well. According to Business Line, the airports being offered are the Bandaranaike International Airport, the Ratmalana Airport in Colombo and the Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport. While expressing confidence that Sri Lanka will be able to achieve the target of 2.3 million tourists this year, the minister added that the country aims to attract 4 million visitors by 2030, for which massive development projects are essential. Meanwhile, speaking at a panel discussion on the OTM 2024 travel show themed Is the World Ready for the Indian Traveller? Tourism Board's perspective, the Sri Lankan tourism minister said the government is considering the extension of the visa-free status for India beyond March.
I'm glad to say last November I was able to put a special cabinet approval to do a pilot for 7 countries, which includes India, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia and few countries, just a pilot, but India heads away, Russia. It's visa-free right now, but they have to go through an ETA system, which is only for record purposes. Most travel agents do that for them, but currently for Indians, it's visa-free. It will go on till March, but I'm quite hopeful I can extend it. Just charging $20 for a visa and getting a person coming there, they spend much more than the $20. So if that is the trigger factor to get people down, governments should be more sensible if you're a tourism destination to make sure that you relax the visas, at least on the potential countries that brings you the tourism, so that just hop on an aircraft and just make yourself available. Just you want to take a break, just leave the country or leave the home and nobody knows and you'll be in Sri Lanka. So that should be the concept that I would like to see Indians have that option to do with Sri Lanka. So it's going on in Sri Lanka and we are hoping to have more than 160 offices in the world through a VFS centers to facilitate this, promote Sri Lanka, etc. That's the next step that we are working on. Our tagline is Sri Lanka, you'll come back for more. One of the reasons we chose this was 33% of the travelers to Sri Lanka are repeaters. They fall in love with the place, they keep coming back. So I hope your next visit is going to be Sri Lanka and you'll keep coming back to Sri Lanka more.
Now, as some of the world's most highly geared nations battle through the aftermath of the economic disintegration following the COVID-19 pandemic, global creditors and the world's top rating agencies met earlier this week to review the ratings actions taken by those agencies. The meeting garnered the participation of some of the world's most powerful financial firms, including BlackRock and Standard Chartered, as well as representatives from debt-ridden nations such as Sri Lanka, Suriname and Zambia.
Global creditors and the world's top rating agencies, Moody's, Fitch and S&P Global Ratings, met earlier this week to discuss rating agencies' actions after debt relief provided by official creditors to some of the world's poorest nations. The meeting also discussed methodology on credit action in the event countries carry out a debt swap and in other debt situations. The role of the agencies came into focus in 2020 when the economic fallout from COVID-19 pushed dozens of nations, including Sri Lanka, into debt distress. The Debt Service Suspension Initiative, launched in April 2020 by the G20 group of nations, allowed the temporary suspension of government-to-government debt payments for those afflicted nations. However, countries that applied for relief were punished with downgrade warnings and negative statements from rating agencies, which added to the poorest countries' borrowing costs and wild governments. Although in theory only tasked with rating the commercial part of borrowing, the agency cited the G20's call for private sector creditors to participate in the initiative. The virtual meeting, which was held in 3 consecutive sessions with each ratings agency, was part of the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable that brings together representatives from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and G20 to tackle issues surrounding sovereign debt. The next technical meeting of the roundtable in March would revisit comparability of treatment issues in the hope of making progress on the issue ahead of the IMF World Bank spring meetings in April. The comparability of treatment principle aims to ensure that Paris Club members do not give outsized concessions compared to private lenders or others outside the group. The gathering of global creditors and rating agencies was attended by representatives from the Institute for International Finance, the International Capital Markets Association, financial firms BlackRock and Standard Chartered, as well as Zambia, Ethiopia, Ghana, Suriname, Sri Lanka and Ecuador.
Corporate updates. Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation General Limited has partnered with the Mercantile Cricket Association to utilize each other's capabilities and provide MCA members with unique joint benefits. Meanwhile, Platned, a leading technology solutions provider headquartered in the United Kingdom, announced its strategic expansion in Sri Lanka. With that, here's a look at more corporate news in brief.
Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation General Limited partnered with Mercantile Cricket Association recently with the aim of leveraging the strengths of both entities and offering distinctive collaborative efforts to MCA members. During the event held to mark the partnership, the two entities entered into a memorandum of understanding promising a range of advantages, including exclusive benefits and discounts. Further, through this collaboration, Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation General Limited reaffirms its commitment to providing tailored and responsive solutions in the dynamic insurance landscape. Platned, a leading technology solutions provider headquartered in the United Kingdom, announced its strategic expansion in Sri Lanka. The company, renowned for its innovative ERP solutions, is set to move to a new state-of-the-art office and recruit 100 new members over the next 2 years to strengthen its rapidly growing global support team in Sri Lanka. The success and availability of a skilled workforce in Sri Lanka has led Platned to invest further in expanding operations in the country. Lavanya International Private Limited was crowned the Best Online Store of the Year at the Pinnacle Sri Lanka 2023 Awards organized by the MUGP International Organization. Lavanya.lk, which has attracted thousands of customers in Sri Lanka and worldwide, has over 1 million registered accounts and has continuously secured customer trust for 5 years. In addition, the store, which is currently at the forefront among online stores in the country, has introduced several packages which include all facilities such as air tickets, accommodation, food and beverage and tour guide. In addition, the store, which is currently at the forefront among online stores in the country, has introduced several packages which include all facilities such as air tickets, accommodation, food and beverage and tour guide, providing customers the opportunity to visit such countries at affordable prices.
And with that, tonight we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.